I was sleeping on a couch that didn't belong to me. My stomach growled again, loud and sharp. I pulled my sweater tighter around me and turned my face to the back of the couch so Kayla wouldn't see my tears. That's how my nights had been for the past 3 weeks. Hungry, cold, alone in a house that wasn't mine. Hey, my name is Emily Carter and I'm 22 years old. And I don't think I've ever felt more unwanted than I did during that time. I used to have a small apartment, not fancy but mine. I had a part-time job at a bakery and was trying my best after graduating college. But life moved fast. I lost my job. Bills piled up. I missed rent. I begged my landlord for more time. He said no. So I went to the people who were supposed to love me the most. My parents. I still remember how Mom looked at me. Like I was dirt on her shoe. "You're 22, Emily. You should have your life together," she said coldly. Dad added, "We didn't raise a failure. Go figure it out." "I just need a few weeks," I begged. "Please, I'll work anywhere. I just need time." Mom crossed her arms. "1 week. That's it." I thought they were joking. But they weren't. 7 days later, I came home to find my things in trash bags on the front steps. The locks were changed. And just like that, I was homeless. I called them over and over. No answer. Then I tried texting. "Please. I have nowhere to go. Can I just sleep in the garage for a few days?" Nothing. The last message I sent was, "I miss you." They never replied. I walked around for hours that night. My phone was dying. My eyes were swollen. I ended up on my friend Kayla's doorstep, crying like a baby. Kayla let me stay. She had a tiny room with a mattress on the floor. No couch. Just blankets and 2 cups. Still, she made space for me. She shared her food, her charger, or hope. "Things will get better," she whispered every night. But inside I didn't believe that. The only person who kept texting me was my grandpa. Not my cousins. Not my brother. Not my sister. Just him. "How are you feeling today? Don't forget to eat something. I'm always here if you want to talk." I didn't respond. Not because I was mad, but because I felt ashamed. He was old. Weak. Gentle. I didn't want him to worry. I didn't want him to know how far I'd fallen. What would I even say? "Hi, Grandpa. I'm living on the floor now and eating once a day." Well, couldn't. So I stayed quiet. And every day I shrunk more inside myself. One morning, I woke up to the sound of Kayla's boiling pot rattling on the stove. She had saved a few spoons of rice from dinner and was trying to make it stretch for breakfast. My lips were dry. My head hurt. I felt like a ghost just floating through someone else's life. That's when my phone buzzed again. It was Grandpa. "Come visit me soon. I miss you." I stared at the message. I didn't move. I didn't blink. Visit him. I almost laughed. I was too broke to buy toothpaste, let alone a bus ticket. But something about the message felt different. It was gentle, but firm. Like he needed me to come. I opened the chat. Typed, "Okay." Then deleted it. Typed again. "I'll try." Then erased it again. Finally I just wrote, "Okay," and sent it. That night I couldn't sleep. What if he was sick? What if he was just lonely? What if he was the only person in this world who still saw me as his Emily? Not a burden, not a failure, not a mistake. I didn't know what would happen if I went to see him. But something inside told me. I needed to go. I needed to be reminded I was still human. Still loved. Still seen. The next day, I borrowed a little money from Kayla for the bus. She didn't have much, but she pressed the crumpled notes into my hand and said, "Go see him. Something tells me it's important." He nodded. I didn't know what to expect. Grandpa lived in a small house outside the city. Trees surrounded the road like tall green guards, and birds sang above the rooftops. It was calm, peaceful, the opposite of the storm inside me. When I got there, I stood at the front porch for a second, just breathing in the quiet. Then I knocked. The door opened slowly. And there he was. "Emily," Grandpa said, like he wasn't sure if I was real. I smiled weakly. "Hi, Grandpa." Without a word, he pulled me into a warm hug. His arms felt like home, strong, gentle, and full of love. "You look tired," he said softly. "Come in, sweetheart." The house smelled like old wood, lemon polish, and the cookies he used to bake when I was a child. I hadn't been there in almost a year, but everything was the same. Except me. He made tea. Real tea with milk and sugar, and placed a plate of shortbread biscuits in front of me. My eyes watered. I couldn't remember the last time someone did something kind for me without asking for anything in return. We sat on the back porch, the sun casting soft light over his small garden. He sipped his tea slowly. I didn't talk. I was too scared that if I opened my mouth I'd cry. But Grandpa didn't push. He just watched the wind move through the trees, like it was a normal afternoon. And then, out of nowhere, he turned to me, smiled a little, and asked, "How's the apartment?" And blinked. "What?" He took another sip of tea, still smiling. "The apartment. How's it coming along?" I laughed, confused. "Grandpa, I don't have an apartment." I pointed to my old shoes. "I don't even have clean socks." He chuckled like he knew a secret. "Are you sure?" he asked. I tilted my head. "What do you mean?" "I wish I had an apartment," I joked. "Right now, I'm grateful just to sleep on Kayla's floor." He didn't answer. He just kept sipping his tea, watching me with eyes that held something deeper. I stared at him. My laughter faded. That was a strange question. Was he confused? Well, Grandpa was sharp. Even at his age, he remembered birthdays, jokes, even full conversations from years ago. "Grandpa," I said slowly, "why did you ask that?" He didn't look at me. He just said, "You'll understand soon." The rest of the day felt like a dream. He showed me his garden, his new tomatoes, the silly scarecrow he made using one of my old hats. I couldn't believe he'd kept it all this time. Then he cooked stew and rice for lunch. I ate 3 full plates without even realizing it. He just smiled and kept refilling them. "You're too skinny," he said. "No grandchild of mine is going hungry under my watch." That night I stayed in the guest room. Smelled like lavender and old books. The bed was small but clean. There was even a night light beside the table. I lay there staring at the ceiling, Grandpa's words circling my head like little buzzing flies. "How's the apartment?" What did he mean? I turned and stared at the wall. Maybe he was just being hopeful. Maybe he wanted to make me feel better, like some kind of dream or pretend game. But something in his voice told me it was more than that. He meant something. Something he wasn't ready to say yet. The next morning, I walked into the kitchen and found him waiting by the back door with a small, wrapped box in his hands. "Come," he said gently. "Let's go for a walk." I followed him, barefoot, still in my wrinkled clothes. I didn't care. My heart was pounding in my chest. We didn't go far. Just a few blocks. He walked slowly, like he was enjoying the morning air. Then he stopped in front of a small yellow building with flowers in front and a clean porch. He looked at me and handed me the box. "What's this?" I asked. "Open it," he said. I opened the box with shaking hands. Inside was a key. A small silver key with a green tag that said #12. I looked up at him, confused. "Grandpa, what is this?" He smiled again. "That," he said softly, "is your apartment key." I stared at the key in my hand. Silver. Smooth. Cold. My brain couldn't catch up. "My apartment?" I asked. Grandpa nodded slowly. "Yes. It's yours, Emily. I bought it in your name last month. Paid in full. No rent. No loans." I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because my heart didn't know how to react. "Grandpa, what are you talking about? You bought an apartment for me." He looked me right in the eyes. "I saw how they treated you, and I stayed quiet. But I didn't forget. I didn't forgive. And I didn't do nothing." My throat felt tight. Tears were already filling my eyes. "You saw," I whispered. "I saw everything," he said. "How they changed the locks. How they called you a failure. How they praised your siblings while they let you starve. He looked away for a moment, his voice softer now. I wanted to speak up. I wanted to yell at them. But I waited. I watched. Then he turned back to me. You never asked anyone for help. You kept your pride. Even when you were hurting. That takes strength, Emily. The kind most people don't have. I wiped my cheeks, but the tears wouldn't stop. They said I was lazy, I mumbled. They laughed when I begged. Even Mom. She just stood there like I was nothing. I know, he said. That's when he pulled a small folder from his pocket. Inside were papers, real papers. Name. My photo. The building's address. Signed title deed. 'Twas all real. You planned this, I whispered. He nodded. I sold an old piece of farmland. Got a fair price. I didn't tell anyone. Not your parents. Not even the lawyer. He smiled. I bought this place quietly. Fixed it up. Furnished it. And I waited. Because I knew one day they'd show their true colors. And when they did, I wanted you to have something they couldn't touch. I couldn't speak. I just fell into his arms and cried. And he held me like I was still 5 years old, scared after a nightmare. Later that day, Grandpa took me inside the building. Apartment number 12 was on the first floor. The hallway smelled like fresh paint and flowers. He unlocked the door and said, "Welcome home." I stepped inside and gasped. It wasn't fancy, but it was perfect. A clean living room with soft chairs and a small TV. A bedroom with a real bed. Soft sheets, warm blanket, fluffy pillow. A kitchen with white tiles and a window that let sunlight pour in. The fridge was full. Bread. Juice. Fruits. Even my favorite yogurt. The one I hadn't tasted in months. How did you? I listen, he smiled. You told me once that yogurt made you feel safe when you were little. I remembered. That's when I broke again. Not from sadness, but from love. So much quiet, powerful love. I walked through each room slowly. Touched the walls. Opened the cabinets. Sat on the couch. 'Twas all mine. No one could throw me out. No one could take it away. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you, Grandpa. You saved me. He sat down beside me and patted my hand. I didn't save you, he said. You saved yourself. I just made sure you had a place to land. That night, I slept in the apartment. My apartment. I curled up under the covers, full, warm, and safe. No yelling. No cold floor. No fear that someone would ask me to leave. Just silence. Me. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. The next morning, I opened the balcony window and felt the morning breeze on my face. I stood there quietly, smiling at the sky. This was what it felt like to be loved without condition. To be protected. To be remembered. I made tea and sent a text to Kayla. Come visit. I have a surprise. She replied with a heart emoji and a crying face. She always knew something was coming. She believed in me even when I didn't. As I cleaned the kitchen later that day, I thought about what Grandpa said. They'll regret how they treated you. I didn't know how. I didn't know when. But a part of me knew. That part of the story wasn't over yet. I had been living in my apartment for 2 weeks when it happened. Life was finally soft again. I woke up every morning in a warm bed. I made toast and tea. Sometimes Kayla came over and we'd laugh like kids again. Other times I just sat by the window with a book and watched the world move slowly. I didn't tell anyone about the apartment. Not my parents. Not my siblings. Not even my cousins. Only Grandpa and Kayla knew. And it felt good. Peaceful. Then one evening someone knocked on my door. It was loud. Fast. Urgent. Froze. My heart started beating fast. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door carefully. And my mouth dropped open. It was Mom and Dad. Their clothes were wrinkled. Dad looked tired. Mom's eyes were red and puffy. They didn't look like the proud, polished people who had thrown me out. They looked broken. Emily, Mom whispered. Sweetheart. Can we talk? I stood in the doorway, not moving. Dad looked around nervously. We wouldn't come if it wasn't serious, he said. But things are bad. I said nothing. We lost the house, Mom said suddenly. Her voice cracked. Your brother's business failed. All the money we gave him, it's gone. He took everything and disappeared. Dad added, we're in debt. We have nowhere else to go. I blinked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The golden sun failed. The perfect plan crashed. And now they were at my door, asking for help. I swallowed hard. My chest felt tight. You want to stay here? Asked slowly. Just for a little while, Mom said. Just until we find something else. Dad nodded quickly. We wouldn't ask if we had any other choice. I stared at them. And suddenly memories rushed in like a wave. Me standing on their porch in the rain, holding a trash bag of my things. Their voices yelling, you're an embarrassment. Them changing the locks and pretending I didn't exist. Now they needed me. I looked around my apartment. Warm light, clean floor, full fridge. My name on the lease. My grandpa's love in every corner. And then I looked back at them. I'm sorry, I said gently. There's no space here. Their faces changed. What? Dad asked like he didn't hear me right. I said no, I replied. This is my space now. I built my life back. Without you. But we're your parents, Mom cried. We made mistakes. But we need you. I nodded slowly. You needed me to succeed when I was broken. I needed you when I was hungry and scared. You weren't there. Dad's face went red. Don't be ungrateful, he snapped. Ungrateful. I repeated, laughing quietly. You kicked me out like trash. Told everyone I was lazy. You didn't even answer my texts. Mom wiped her eyes. But we're family. Exactly, I said. And family should never have treated me like that. Then I stepped back and closed the door softly. Blick. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just breathed. For the first time in a long time. Felt powerful. That Sunday Grandpa came over. He brought apple pie and a newspaper. We sat on my balcony, sipping tea. He looked at the sky for a while, then turned to me. How's the apartment? Smiled. It's the best thing anyone's ever done for me. He nodded. I knew you'd say that. We clinked our tea mugs together. And sat there quietly. Two people. Two hearts. And outside the window the world kept turning. But inside, I was home.